I just always wanted to dominate. I don't care if it was my teammates, the other team. Being good isn't enough. It wasn't just for like the women in the W or women in the sports field. That was important to me for women everywhere.
Welcome to Health is Wealth. I'm your host, Dr. Myron Rolle. Today, we have the incredible honor of sitting down with a true legend, Sheryl Swoopes.
It's a triple-double for Swoopes, the first ever in the history of the WNBA. Swoopes, long-range three, yes! The Houston Comets have won their fourth straight WNBA championship.
Beyond her athletic accomplishments, she's a powerful voice for early cancer detection, a close cause to her heart. Sheryl Swoopes, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I just want to jump into it.
Let's go.
If that's all right.
I think this is a very important topic, by the way.
Indeed, indeed. I want to start back in the early days. So you're a woman of many firsts. First player to sign with the WNBA, first time WNBA MVP, first female to have their own Nike shoe. The list kind of goes on and on. What's your first memory of basketball, just in general?
Wow. My first memory of basketball would be like little dribblers. So growing up in Texas, we had what we call little dribblers. And I just remember, just give me a ball.
Yeah.
Just give me a ball. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what size. I don't care if it has air in it. I could never get enough of playing basketball. And my first memory was with little dribblers and just travel. It was kind of like AAU, right? Just traveling across the state of Texas and just playing basketball. It was in the gym seemed like 24/7. And the competition, what I remember about it though was, I remember like asking myself at some point, like, why am I so much better than the other girls my same age? And I felt that just from when we were playing, because it seemed like there were things that I could do on the court that the other girls around my age, and I started playing when I was 7, that the other girls around my age couldn't do. So I remember just asking myself that question, like what is it about me that makes me so much better than the other girls that are my same age?
Wow. When you had that thought, did you look to sort of decrease your performance to try to get on their level?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. You continue to
I
dominate.
know I didn't let you finish, but no.
No. I appreciate that.
Well, so here's the thing. Growing up, I grew up with 2 older brothers. I have a younger brother, and it was my mom. My dad wasn't in the picture. And so it seemed like it was me and my mom against the world, right? Like even my brothers at times, because we were the only females in the house. And I just remembered my mom just instilling things into me, like being good isn't enough. Like you have to be the best. Whatever it is you do, you have to be the best. And even to this day, like that's kind of like my mantra, and I live by that. I don't care what I'm doing. If I'm competing, I'm cooking, I'm doing whatever. I always say to myself, like, being good isn't enough. I always want to be the best at anything I do. So that's why when you asked that question, I just cut you off, because I was like, no, we're not going to go there.
Yeah.
I just always wanted to dominate. I don't care if it was my teammates, the other team. I wanted to just dominate and crush you, and I was always looking to take my game to another level.
I love that. No participation trophies here.
No,
We're going to dominate you.
No, we don't do that.
Let's
we don't
go.
do that.
I love it. Who are some of your biggest influences growing up in basketball and in life? You talked about your mom, but is there anybody else?
Yeah, my mom for sure. And I keep talking about my mom, and this is where I might get emotional, because today's actually my mom's birthday. I lost my mom 10 years ago to colon cancer. So to be recording this with you on her birthday it's kind of special for me. So besides my mom, in the sports world, Michael Jordan was like him.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan was everything. And for me growing up, I never really got to watch women play basketball on television. So maybe during the Olympics, I would catch a game here and there, but never a point like we have today, right? Where you could just turn on the TV and they're on television. So for me, it was Michael Jordan. And then outside of sports, my college coach, Marcia Sharp, she just instilled hard work and belief and all those things in me. And a lot of players say this about their coaches, but like it was real with her. She was that type of coach that she cared about you as a person first and an athlete second. And that always mattered to me.
Driving down to health and wellness, tell me about your upbringing and your community, how that shapes your approach to health and wellness.
Well, it's really interesting when you ask that question. Because for me, and I don't know if this has been your experience, but growing up in my household, like there were just certain things we really didn't talk about. And the unfortunate thing is health was one of those things. My mom had 13 brothers and sisters, and 6 of them passed away from some form of cancer. And even though we knew it existed, we didn't talk about it. So it was almost like if we don't talk about it, then it's not real. So it wasn't something that we grew up talking about our health and things that we need to do to take care of it and to make sure that we're okay. I say simple things, but it's not like your high blood pressure, all the things, but we never really had those conversations. And to be honest with you, for me, it probably wasn't until after I retired, a couple of years after I retired, where my body started feeling differently, that I really had to take a step back and start thinking about, like, what is my body actually going through? Yeah. Like the changes that I'm going through, not just as a woman, but just as a human being. And once I found out that my mom had been diagnosed with cancer, she was already stage 4 when we found out. I had so many questions for myself. I blamed myself. I got mad at myself. Like how could you not know this? But then I had to come back and say, it's not something we ever talked about. And even though I knew it was in her family, it just wasn't anything we ever talked about. And so having gone through that with my mom and, chemo and all the things we went through, it really opened my eyes to how many people are probably in that same situation. And I've always wanted to be able to use my voice and my platform to be different, to raise awareness. And, it's very important that we not only talk about it, but we advocate for ourselves and we do everything that we can to make sure we're taking care of our bodies.
Absolutely. You make salient points. I mean, our family was no different. I'm originally from the Bahamas, and it's a theocracy, so sometimes we feel we can pray things away, lay hands and say, okay, God's going to take care
All
of
of
it,
that.
and all done, right? But now as a neurosurgeon, I say to myself, man, there's like ways where you can pray. I believe in prayer, but there's other human elements and medicine and treatment and early detection and screenings that we can do to help us as well, right? It's got to be like a 2-pronged approach. And I think sometimes we miss that second prong in our community. So yeah, absolutely the same thing. But I'm glad that you're using that platform, that voice to give, some awareness and attention to these issues. It's affected you personally, and it affects a lot of people. And I think our audience and listeners would, gain incredible amount of insight from your story, what you're doing, your work, and your purpose now, even later in life like this. So I definitely appreciate that.
Thank you.
No doubt. Can you mention your college coach a little bit? And in researching you and your story, it's interesting, right? So you first came on the scene like as a stud at Texas Tech, but before then, you went to University of Texas and then spent some years in JUCO. Is that correct?
That is, all of that is correct.
Tell me about that journey, where we went from there. How did we get there?
Well, So back in the day, right? I graduated from high school in '89.
Okay.
God, that seems so long ago.
I mean, I was 3 years old, but it's all good. My bad. My fault. Sorry, my bad.
Wow, Mr. Neurosurgeon. So I graduated in '89. Back in the day, if you, especially being in Texas, from Texas, if the University of Texas recruited you, like that's where you went, no questions asked. And I got recruited from over 50 different colleges and universities. Initially, I thought I was going to go to Hawaii because Hawaii recruited me just because it's Hawaii, right? I was like, I'm out of here.
Of course.
But then I didn't talk to anybody. I said when I got that letter from UT, Jody Conrad, I said, it's it. I'm done. Didn't talk to my mom. I didn't talk to coaches, nobody.
Were you throwing up the hook 'em horns in high school? Were you
Yeah,
doing
I
all
don't do that now.
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
I
All
did.
right. Okay.
Yeah, I can't do that now.
Sorry, my bad.
But they were, so University of Texas, they were like the UConns, the South Carolinas, the Tennessees of today. So for me, it was a no-brainer. It's like they're recruiting me, that's where I'm going. Austin was about 8 hours away from where I grew up.
Wow.
So I went there. School hadn't started, classes hadn't started. I was there for 6 or 7 days and was like, what am I doing? And it was nothing against the school, the coach, the team. I just remember like sitting in my dorm room and I was just like, this isn't for me. And a lot of people say, but you never gave it a chance. Like you hadn't started practice classes. You know how sometimes you just feel it, like you just feel it. And so I remember calling my mom and I said, I want to come home. And so she was like, well, you should come home for the weekend, right? I said, no, like I want to come home. Yeah. She said to me, she said, oh no, we don't do that. Like you made a commitment, you're going to stay there. Yeah. So I was like, okay. Next day I called her, I want to come home. It took me 3 times calling her saying I want to come home. And the last time I was just bawling. And I was like, I don't like it here. I want to come home. Wow. She finally said, all right, you can come home. Yeah. So fast forward, I went home for the weekend and I called up a junior college that's like 35 minutes from where I grew up. Okay. And I talked to the head coach and I said to him, I said, I want to come play for you. Now no one knew that I wasn't going back to UT. So one of my high school teammates, she was going to South Plains Junior College. He thought she put me up to playing a joke on him. Oh. So he said to me, he said, if you're serious about coming, show up here on Monday morning. I said, okay, I'll be there. Now here's the thing. I didn't know how I was going to get there because we didn't have a car. My mom didn't have a car. I didn't have a car. My mom called one of her friends and her friend said, I'll take her. We showed up there at 8 o'clock that Monday morning and like they say, the rest is history. I went to junior college for 2 years. Oh, but I will say this, the best 2 years of my life. Wow. Going to junior college. And if I had to like rewind and do it all over again, I probably would go to junior college first. It just taught me so much about like balance. But it also taught me how to be a really good student athlete. And it allowed me to work on my game before I went to Division I. And yeah. Wow. It is a true story.
That is amazing. How would NIL would have affected Sheryl Swoopes then?
Oh my gosh. Let's not go there. Because I do have those questions myself.
Oh my goodness. We grew up in the wrong time, you know. I missed NIL too.
Well, I know I did. Because you were only 3 when I graduated from high school.
True story. I did want to talk about your WNBA career, how it started shortly after the birth of your son, Jordan. What were your secrets to finding balance then, right? To balance that big word of managing being a mother and a leader and an athlete and a friend and all these other hats that you wear.
You know, it's crazy. I don't know if I found balance. And that's another thing when you talk about the WNBA today. You know, we had no idea. We didn't have maternity leave and all those things back then. Yeah. But I did it. And that's what I love because now you see these players playing and and they're moms and they're pregnant and they're getting ready to be moms again, they now have maternity leave. They now know what to ask for. Back then when I did it, that's just what we did. And I went through so much mentally that I didn't talk about it, because we didn't talk about mental health back then either. And it existed, but we didn't talk about it. And had it not been for my small circle of people, my mom being the number one person, I really don't know if I would have been able to continue to play ball and be a mom.
Wow.
And what was so important to me in doing that, it wasn't just for like the women in the W or women in the sports field. Like, that was important to me for women everywhere, because so many times, you know, as women, we wear a lot of hats. We wear a lot of hats. We juggle a lot of things. We don't talk about a lot of things. But I wanted to be able to show just regular women in the working world, the working field, that you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. Is it hard? Absolutely. But having the right people in your corner, in your circle that you trust, that you know is going to have your back, to me, that was the most important thing I had that was able to help get me through the season.
That's fantastic. Your Houston Comets team became a dynasty, winning 4 straight WNBA titles. Can you take me through that time and what that was like?
Yeah. We were pretty good. I get a big smile on my face anytime anybody wants to talk about the Comets, because what we were able to do in a short period of time, I don't think people give us enough credit.
It's true.
I don't think people really truly appreciate like what we did.
Yeah, dominant. Definitely.
And I say this all the time. I don't care what sport, male or female, to win one championship is hard. To win a back-to-back championship is harder.
Right.
To win 3 in a row is crazy.
Talk to him.
But to win 4 in a row,
Come on.
back to back to back to back,
Keep going.
that's some bad, you know what.
100%.
Listen, here's the thing about what we were able to do is we had players, and I know people talk about the big 3, myself and Coop and Tina. Yeah, we were a huge part of that success, but we were able to put players around us that understood the assignment, right? They accepted their role. They understood like how hard we worked. And if you weren't on that level, then you had to go because you're messing with our championship. But like a player like a Janeth Arcane, who was from Brazil, one of the best players to ever play the game, not just in Brazil, but even in the WNBA. Kim Perrot, God rest her soul, who passed away from cancer. Kim wasn't drafted. Kim had to pay her own way to training camp. And Coach Chancellor, even when she came to training camp, he was not sure about her. Kim was probably 5, I'm going to say 5'5" on a good day. But when I tell you, without Kim Perrot, we don't win those championships. Kim was, without question, the glue to that team. What I really loved about our squad was we gave everybody their own room and space to be great in her own right. But we also were able to put egos and all the things to the side and say, oh no, we're going to go get another one.
You mentioned about Kim Perrot. She was being a huge part of your team, being the glue of the team. How did you learn that she was sick? How did that news get to you?
You know, it was like they kind of kept everything quiet for a while. But we knew something was wrong because she wasn't at practice very much, but she really started losing a lot of weight and she just didn't look the same. Her energy was different. I remember, though, specifically when we got the news that she had passed away. Excuse me, we were in LA getting ready for a game. And we were had finished pregame, and Tina and I were actually we had to go do an interview. So we got the call to come back to the hotel because Coach Chancellor wanted to have a meeting. So Tina and I get back to the hotel, and everyone else is already in the room. But we walk in the room, and it was so just silent. The room was silent. And at this point, we knew that Kim was really sick, but I don't think any of us were expecting that news.
Okay.
So we walk in, we sat down, and Coach Chancellor told us that she had passed away. And as you can imagine, we all lost it. And he just said, we're going to cancel the game tonight because we were supposed to play that night. He said, we're going to cancel the game tonight. And Coop stood up, and she said, no, we're going to play the game. And so Coach Chancellor was like, well, I don't really think we should do that. And she said, but that's what Kim would want. And we all agreed, right? Like if everybody agrees, we're going to do it because this is absolutely what Kim would want us to do. One of the toughest things that I personally have ever experienced is losing, because she wasn't just a teammate, she was a sister. And, I know basketball is just a game, but in that moment, it was more than a game, right? We went out, played the game. I think we won because that's just what we did. We won. But that game just felt different. Right. It felt different. And we played the game for Kim. That year we won the championship, and we dedicated that season to Kim. So I don't know if you ever read stuff. It says 3 for 10.
Yes.
Kim's number was 10, and that was our third championship. But Kim Perrot, to me, just signified what like resiliency looked like. And no matter how many times people told her no, Coach Chancellor, any other team, the league, she never stopped. She never quit. And to have a teammate like that, to have a sister like that on your side, on your team, in your corner, it just makes me look at things, even today, it makes me look at things differently and say, this is nothing compared to what my teammate went through. Right. And Kim was a fighter. She fought till the very end. Just a tough thing to deal with, to witness, to go through. But I'm so grateful that I was able to share a few years with her on the basketball court, because by far, like I said, she was only 5'5" on a good day. But her heart was bigger than anyone I've ever met.
I do want to ask you about your advocacy that you're doing now, because I think it's really impressive. I mean, for all the things that you've done in your life, all the accomplishments, this advocacy stuff is really remarkable. You've been an advocate for early cancer detection. Beyond Kim's story, what experiences have strengthened your commitment to this purpose now?
Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, just having aunts and uncles who passed away from some form of cancer. My brother actually was diagnosed with prostate cancer about 6 months ago. Yeah, which was just out of nowhere.
Incidental finding, or did he have symptoms?
Incidental. Yeah. He went for a bike ride, came home, went to take a shower, and when he got out of the shower, he just had to sit down. He was like, he was out of breath. And his girlfriend told him, you need to go to the doctor. So he kept putting it off, and he was like, I'll go next week. But that happened to him about 3 days in a row. So finally, he called his doctor. He was going in for a physical, and that's when he found out. So he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And I had a minor scare, had a biopsy done. I had a mammogram. They saw something they didn't like, so I ended up having to do a biopsy. Thank God it came back, everything was okay. But for me, playing basketball has been incredible. Like all the awards, the accolades, all the things, I mean, are amazing. But for me, I've always wanted to feel like I'm making a difference in someone's life. And I say all the time that I feel like I don't feel like God put me here to play basketball. I feel like he put me here so I could use basketball as a platform for something bigger.
Yeah.
And that to me is talking about things like this and sharing stories like this and, you know, just trying to spread awareness. And honestly, for everybody, but in particular in our community, in our African American community, because there's so many things that we just don't talk about. Going back to what you said earlier, you know, growing up in the church, even with my mom, it was always, we're not going to go talk to anybody, but we're going to pray about it.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with prayer, but I also say God also gives us a sense of discernment. And, you know, if there's someone there that can help you, then that's who we should be talking to. So to your point, the work I've been doing with RadNet, who's one of the leading mammography companies in the country, it's been very important to me to spread the word on early detection and how early detection can potentially save a life. And I've just been so blessed that I've been able to work alongside them and spread the word and talk to people about why you should go have a mammogram and what that looks like and what that means. And I've lost so many family members. I've lost sisters in basketball to breast cancer. And if there's something that I can do to help save a life or change a life, that's what I want to be a part of.
That's fantastic. Sheryl, thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome.
I think that your story is truly remarkable, and I appreciate you coming on and talking to us about it. I appreciate the work that you're doing now into the community, really spreading that message about early detection, about screenings, and other things we need to do to sort of take up the mantle, optimize our own health as we can go out and be leaders into the world, so we can go out and be active members of our community.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've channeled the energy of your basketball prowess to this new work and this new purpose means a lot. So appreciate you coming on
Thank
and
you for
talking with
having
us.
me.
It means a lot.
Thank you.
And this has been fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.